Some Muslim members supported the ideas of Uniform Civil Code, while others expressed concern about its potential impact on personal laws derived from Islamic principle. On the other hand, there were Muslim members who expressed a reservation about implementing the Uniform Civil Code as they believe it could interfere with Islamic personal law. They argue that religious minorities should be allowed to retain their own personal laws as a means of preserving their cultural
It is
and
important to recognize
religious
that
identities.
the views and opinion of Muslim members of the Constituent Assembly on the UCC, like any other issues, were diverse and varied. Different members held differing perspectives based on their individual beliefs, experience, and vision of the country. The implementation of a uniform civil code in India has been a topic of concern and discussion among Muslims in the country. While it is important to note that perspectives can vary among individuals and groups, there are certain concerns raised by some Muslims regarding the implementation of Uniform Civil Code. The Uniform Civil Code of such a code require carefully consideration, taking into account the principles of equality, diversity, and the religious freedom while ensuring the protection of individual rights and social harmony. The implementation of a uniform civil code in India faces several challenges and problems, which include: number one, threat to religious and cultural autonomy. Critics argue that implementing Uniform Civil Code might infringe upon the autonomy and right of the religious and cultural minorities. Personal laws have historically been an essential aspect of preserving religious and cultural practice, and a Uniform Civil Code could be seen as an implementation and position on those communities. Number two, opposition and resistance. There is a significant opposition to a uniform civil code from various religion and political groups. The fear of losing religious identity or cultural practices leads to resistance against the implementation of a common set of laws. Number three, complexities and challenges. India is a diverse country with multiple religious communities, each having its own distinct set of laws and practices. Harmonizing these diverse laws into a single code can be a complex and challenging task, requiring careful consideration and consultation with various stakeholders. Number four, potential social unrest. The implementation of Uniform Civil Code could potentially lead to social unrest and conflicts, particularly if not done in a consultative and inclusive manner. Resistance from certain religious communities may result in protest and agitation, which could disrepute social harmony. Number five, religious and cultural sensitivities. In India is a diverse country with multiple religious communities, each having its own distinct set of personal laws and practices. Implementing Uniform Civil Code may face resistance from religious groups who perceive it as an encroachment on their religious autonomy and cultural practices. The fear of losing religious identity and cultural heritage can a significant obstacle to the implementation of a uniform civil code. Number six, lack of consensus. The issue of implementing uniform civil code has been a subject of intense debate and discussion in India. There is a lack of consensus among different political parties, religious groups, and stakeholders on the specifics of the Uniform Civil Code. Achieving a consensus that accommodate and concern and interest of various groups is a complex task. Number 7. Legal complexities. Harmonizing the diverse personal laws of different religious communities into a single code poses significant legal complexities. The personal laws are deeply rooted in religious texts, customs, and traditions, ensuring a balance between the principle of equalities, individual rights, and religious freedom while formulating a uniform civil code is a challenging legal endeavor. Number 8. Socio-political resistance. The implementation of a uniform civil code may face strong opposition from political and religious groups that perceive it as an infringement on their power and privileges. Some political parties have used the issue as a means to gain support from their respective vote bank, leading to resistance and obstacles in implementing uniform civil code. Number 9. Lack of political will. The implementation of a uniform civil code requires political will and consensus among the ruling government and legislative bodies. However, successive governments have been hesitant to take decisive steps towards implementing a uniform civil code due to a political sensitivity of the issue and potential backlash from certain religious communities. Practical implementation challenges. Implementing uniform civil code that covers diverse aspects such as marriage, divorce, inheritance, and adoption requires careful consideration of practical implementations, and traditional provisions, ensuring smooth implementation and addressing the concern of individuals already governed by existing personal laws can be challenged. Judicial interpretation. The judiciary play a vital role in the interpreting and applying the laws. In the case of a uniform civil code, there might be challenges in ensure consistent interpretation and applications across different religious communities considering the variations in legal tradition and customs. Threat to religious autonomy. Some Muslims argue that a uniform civil code could potentially infringe upon their religious autonomy and the freedom to practice their personal laws derived from Islamic principles. They perceive the imposition of a common code as a threat to their religious identity and practices. Personal law safeguards. Personal laws based on Islamic principles such as marriage, divorce, inheritance have been followed by the Muslim community for generations. Concerns are raised that the implementation of Uniform Civil Code might disregard or dilute these established practices which hold religious and cultural significance of Muslims. Uniformity versus diversity. India is a diverse country with various religious communities, each with its own distinct personal laws. Some Muslims argue that a uniform civil code might undermine the diversity and pluralism of the country by promoting a uniform civil code legal framework that disregards the unique customs and practices of different religious communities. Misinterpretation and misrepresentations. There are concerns that the formulation and interpretation of Uniform Civil Code might not adequately take into account the religious and cultural context of a Muslim community. There is a fear that the codification process might be influenced by misconceptions or bias, resulting in misrepresentation and misinterpretation of Islamic principle and practices. Legal safeguards and protections. Some Muslims express concern that a uniform civil code might not adequately protect the rights and interests of Muslim women and marginalized sections of the community. They argue that the existing personal laws provide specific safeguards and provisions that considered the social and economic circumstances of Muslim individuals. It is important to note that these concerns and perspectives may not be shared by all Muslims in India. There are diverse opinions within the Muslim community regarding the implementation of Uniform Civil Code, with some individuals supporting the ideas of common civil code, while others express reservation or concern. It is crucial to address these concerns through opinion dialogue, consultations, and ensuring that any uniform civil code formulation respects religious freedom, protects individual rights, and promotes social harmony. It is important to address these challenges and concerns through open dialogues, consensus buildings, and the balanced approach that as respects the principle of equality, religious freedom, and individual rights while considering the socio-cultural fabrics of Indian society.